My people, Oyana, come here. This is the story of Adaora, a girl with no mother, no father, and no protection, who was accused of the most shameful crime in her kingdom, condemned by her whole village, and buried alive in the red earth like yam, while the woman who arranged everything stood at the graveside and wept the loudest. Before I enter this gist, kindly subscribe to this channel, like this video, and drop a comment. It takes 2 seconds and it means everything to me. Now, are you ready? Oh yeah, let us enter this matter together. The kingdom of Udo was a beautiful place. Red earth roads, ancient trees lining the palace path, a market that started before sunrise, farms that produced enough to make neighboring kingdoms jealous. But Udo had one law above all others. Adultery for any gender carried the punishment of death. Not imprisonment, not exile, death. The condemned would be placed in a pit and covered. The whole kingdom would witness. The whole kingdom would move on. This law had been used twice in the history of Udo. Both times the evidence was clear. Both times they confessed. Nobody had ever come back from that red earth. Nobody. Not once. Now, let me tell you about this girl, because you cannot understand what was done to her without understanding who she was first. Adaora was 20 years old. She had her mother's face, warm, open, the kind of face that people trust before you give them a reason to. And she had her father's heart, patient, solid, the kind of patience that does not break easily, but when it does, the breaking is complete. Her mother had died when she was 13, a fever, 3 days, then gone. Her father, Maziobi, had held the household together for 4 years after that. A farmer, a good man, the kind of man who did his work quietly and loved his daughter loudly and asked for nothing from the world except enough. When Adaora was 17, her father died, and everything that had been protecting her died with him. Because Maziobi, in his final weeks, had made one arrangement. He had called his second wife, Mama Obioma, the woman he had married 2 years after Adaora's mother died, because they were looking for a child, and he had said, "Take care of my daughter." Mama Obioma had nodded. She had held his hand. She had said, "She is my daughter too." She had said this with her crying like a good person. And then Maziobi had died trusting her, and Mama Obioma had gone back to the compound and begun the second phase of her plan. Now, Mama Obioma, I need to describe this woman carefully, because she is the specific kind of villain that is most dangerous. Not the obvious kind, not the kind that shouts and throws things. The quiet kind, the smiling kind, the kind that says, "Of course, my darling," while arranging your suffering. She was 45 years old. She had a daughter, Obioma, 23. She had a plan. Obioma would marry well. Obioma would rise. Obioma would give her grandchildren with titles. Obioma would be better than Adaora and be more successful than her. Everything in her life was organized in service to this plan, including the compound she now controlled, including the land Maziobi had left, including Adaora, who was supposed to be gone but wasn't. You see, Mama Obioma had expected Adaora to leave, to go to a relative, to make things easy by removing herself. That is what motherless girls with no powerful relatives were supposed to do. Adaora stayed. Not from stubbornness, from the specific practicality of a girl who had nowhere else to go and was not going to pretend otherwise. This annoyed Mama Obioma in a way she never showed on her face. She showed it in other ways. Let me tell you what life looked like for Adaora in that compound. The compound had 2 bedrooms. Mama Obioma had 1, Obioma had 1. Adaora had a corner of the storage room, not a room, a corner, with a mat on the floor and a wrapper she hung on a nail for privacy. She cooked every morning before Mama Obioma and Obioma woke up, not because she was asked, because if she did, the day would begin with Mama Obioma standing in the kitchen doorway saying, "Adaora, you lazy girl, Are you planning to feed us with your good intentions or with actual food? She cooked, she cleaned, she fetched water, she tended the farm, while Obioma slept. While Obioma woke up slowly and asked for her morning water and complained it was not warm enough. While Obioma spent her afternoons deciding which fabric suited her complexion, Adaora worked from before sunrise to after sunset, every day. Now, the mockery was Obioma's specialty. Obioma had her mother's gift of cruelty dressed in pleasantness. She would look at Adaora's wrapper and say, with a gentle smile, "Oh, Adaora, are you still wearing that? Oh, so sentimental. It's not easy not to have a mother." She would watch Adaora coming from the farm, tired, dusty, and say to her friends sitting in the compound, "She works so hard. I always say some people are just..." Adaora would go to the storage room, she would sit on her mat, she would breathe, then she would get up and prepare the evening meal. Because she was her mother's daughter, and her mother had told her, endure what must be endured. The season changes. Everything changes. Endure. One time, Adaora had been at the market and saw a fabric that was the exact color of her late mother's favorite wrapper. Deep burgundy with a thin gold thread. She had used her small trading money she had saved over months, coin by coin, to buy a small length of it. She brought it home. She was going to make something small, a head tie, something of her mother's color. Mama Obioma saw it. She said, "What is this?" "Fabric. I bought it." "With what money?" "I have been selling groundnut in this compound," Mama Obioma said pleasantly. "What belongs to you?" "Everything in this compound belongs to me." "Who told you to buy new fabric?" "The fabric belongs to me. I bought it with my own money." Mama Obioma looked at the fabric. Then she picked it up. She handed it to Obioma. "Shut up." "This will suit you, my darling daughter," she said to her daughter. Obioma took it. She looked at Adaora, then at the fabric. "It is nice. Thank you, Adaora." And she walked away. Adaora stood in the compound. She did not shout. She did not chase. She did not cry in front of them. She went to the storage room. She sat on her mat. She held the wrapper she had hung for privacy with both hands, and she cried very quietly where nobody could hear. Because the wrapper was the last thing that had been her mother's, and the fabric had been the color of it, and now that was gone too. 3 years of this. 3 years in her father's house that Mama Obioma had taken full ownership of without a document that said she could. 3 years. And then the announcement. The Crown Prince of Udo was looking for a wife. My people, the energy that descended in that kingdom. The market stopped making sense for 3 days. Women who had been arguing about stockfish prices suddenly did not have opinions about stockfish. Every compound in Udo had a conversation happening that was louder than all previous conversations. The Crown Prince, Ezenna, was 28 years old. A good man, thoughtful, the kind of prince that a kingdom builds hopes on and is not disappointed. His father, the king, had decided the time for hopes was over and the time for a wife had begun. A formal selection was organized. Women would be presented. The Crown Prince would choose 3 for a final consideration period. 1 would eventually become queen. Mama Obioma heard this announcement and immediately called Obioma. She sat her daughter down. She looked at her. Obioma understood. The preparation begins today. You must become the queen of this village. Mama Obioma said, what followed in that compound was a comprehensive, total, absolute mobilization of every resource towards one goal. The good fabric, all of it, went to Obioma's new outfits. The good food, all of it, went to Obioma's skin and health. Adaora's sleeping mat was moved to make space for Obioma's preparation items. Adaora now slept with her mat pushed against the far wall of the storage room behind a sack of groundnuts with a cooking pot on one side and a farming tool on the other. She said nothing. She endured. The day of the presentation arrived. Adaora jumped up from her mat. Mama, I want to follow. Mama Obioma wanted to decline, but she remembered she was supposed to be a good woman outside and people might ask why Adaora did not come. She looked at her up and down and decided she was not a threat. The prince would not choose a dirty girl like her. "All right, let's go," she said. She brought both girls, Obioma dressed in everything the compound had produced in 2 weeks of preparation. Genuinely beautiful. The preparation had done its work. Adaora dressed in what she had. Clean, decent, simple. All the ladies were looking beautiful. The crown prince moved through the assembled women. He reached Obioma. He greeted her. He moved on. He reached Adaora.